concept of Gon being talented but simple-minded and naive was emphasized in Hunter x Hunter's 2011 anime, but the manga gives a much different impression. Instead of Gon being a quirky, carefree kid, he's a wise, confident badass that is so overflowing with potential and understanding that he may as well be Hunter x Hunter's Jesus. I'm gonna go over how the first few episodes of the 2011 anime and first few chapters of the manga differ, and how differently they characterize Gon. Both the anime and manga begin with Gon catching the Master of the Swamp. They also both make sure to have a villager say that 5 grown men couldn't catch it, showcasing Gon's exceptional strength. Then, after asking Mito to hold up her end of the deal and allow him to take the hunter exam, there's a moment in the manga that isn't included in the anime. Some villagers laugh at Mito for not wanting Gon to take the exam, and one of them tells her, "It's only an exam." Mito yells back at them, "That's easy for you to say." Then Gon speaks up, "Yeah, it's easy to say stuff, but meaning what you say, that's something else, right?" This paints Gon in a more mature, wise, and confident light. He knows that it's easy to say that he wants to become a hunter, and he's fully confident that he has what it takes. Then comes the most obvious difference between the manga and the anime, the flashback to Kite. The part about Kite saving Gon is the same as the flashback later in the anime, but the later events deviate a bit in the manga. There's more of a focus on Gon's potential and Jing's capacity. Kite tells Gon about Jing and tells him that there are no other hunters like him, that he's the best there is, and Gon definitely shares his blood. Then he thinks to himself that good hunters get along well with animals. After thinking this, we see Gon growing closer with Kon, the fox bear cub. Flash back to the manga's present, and Gon prepares to say goodbye to Kon in order to begin his journey. He tells Kon to stay on the island and be the king of the forest, and he tries to leave, but Kon sees him off with the rest of the forest animals. This is an overwhelming showing that Gon has the makings of a great hunter. Not only did he befriend the king of the forest, but also the other forest animals as well. Then there's the scene where Mito tries to talk him out of taking the exam. The scenes are framed differently both in dialogue and body language between the manga and anime. In the anime, Gon comes off incredibly naive. He admits to not understanding the nature of being a hunter and says he wants to learn. He also looks worked up and childish. In the manga, this interaction doesn't even happen. Mito just asks when he leaves and he tells her. Then, after telling her that being a hunter is more important than being a father, Gon tells her that being a hunter isn't for the weak. After she leaves, he thinks to himself, "I'm sorry, Aunt Mito, but like you said, I am Jing's son. I must pass a final test. Find Jing. There's no other hunter like him." This all comes together to paint manga Gon in a more mature light, with him being filled to the brim with confidence and being driven by the knowledge that he's the son of one of the greatest hunters in the world. This is different from anime Gon, whose main driving force is curiosity. I'm not saying that Gon isn't curious in the manga, it just isn't framed as his primary motive. In the manga, as Gon is about to board the ship to leave Whale Island, Mito apologizes to him for not telling him the truth about his dad. Gon tells her that he knew she was lying since she doesn't look him in the eyes when she isn't telling the truth. This makes manga Gon come off as more mature and understanding of others than his anime counterpart. Skipping ahead a bit to the scene where Gon tells the ship's captain about the oncoming storm, the manga handles things a bit differently. Instead of only saying that a storm's coming, he gives a time estimation for when the storm will hit that the captain confirms internally. Right before the captain hears this, we see Gon standing in front of the ship with his father's silhouette behind him. That's when the captain figures out that Gon's father is Jing, and he proceeds to teach Gon how to steer the ship, saying that hunters are expected to be able to handle any vehicle. This shows the captain's faith that Gon will be a hunter. This makes Gon's potential even more overwhelming than in the anime. Later, when Leorio and Kurapika are fighting, Gon speaks the same words to the captain that he did in the anime about them needing to learn about each other's anger. In the anime, this seemed a bit out of left field to me given Gon's simple and naive characterization, but in the manga it fits right in. We've already witnessed his high level of emotional intelligence, so instead of seeming more convenient than anything, it builds on the characterization Gon already had. After this, things in the manga are pretty much the same until one small detail at the end of the two-choice quiz. After it's over in the anime, Gon falls to the ground, exasperated about how he can't figure it out. In the manga, he continues standing and says that he can't figure it out with a big smile on his face. When he's told that the quiz is over, in the anime, he ponders what he would do if he faced the situation brought up by the quiz. In the manga, instead of asking what he'd do if he faced a difficult situation, He asks the others what they'd do, and says, "It won't be about which is correct, but about what's really in your heart when the chips are down." This is purely my own interpretation, but the manga version makes me believe that Gon figured out that the answer to the quiz was silence immediately, and moved on to contemplating the reality of the situation proposed and its implication not only in his life, but also in the lives of those around him. In the anime, to me, it comes off as him starting by thinking about the reality of the question posed and not worrying about the quiz, trusting that the other two would figure it out. Again, manga Gon comes off wiser, and anime Gon comes off more childish and naive. The next difference comes when Gon confronts a Kiriko in the woods. As the Kiriko is about to strike, anime Gon asks, "Who are you?" Manga Gon says, "My name's Gon, what's yours?" This may not seem like that big of a difference, but to me, it speaks volumes. Anime Gon continues being naive. They both notice that it's not the same Kiriko, but all anime Gon does is note that out loud without any other thought. Manga Gon is more diplomatic. He introduces himself, clearly trying to create a connection and showing mutual respect. After he notes that the Kiriko isn't the same one he'd hit earlier, he tells the Kiriko that he will fight if he has to. This puts off even more of an air of confidence and awareness around Gon, and additionally shows a lack of naivete. He isn't overly friendly, and he lets the Kiriko know that if his only choice is battle, he'll partake without hesitation. The manga version feels more like Gon is seeing the Kiriko as any other animal, something to be understood and hopefully befriended. His lack of fear in the manga comes off as more calculated and built with understanding, while his anime counterpart comes off as naive and having a lack of understanding, purely relying on his powers of physical observation instead of reading the situation. The anime and manga take different approaches to introducing the main character. The anime leaves Gon much more childish, which makes a subversion of that later on all the more impactful. The manga version doesn't create as much of a subversion, but I find it a bit more consistent with his characterization. Both versions have their strengths and weaknesses, and I'd be curious which version you prefer. Let me know in the comments. This has been Evan. Thank you for watching.